Hey buddy, welcome back to the channel and to World of Warships. So today I thought I showcase a game of the Tier 8 Japanese premium destroyer, the Asashio. And the reason why I choose to showcase this game and this ship right now is because there seems to be a whole lot of threads in the forums talking about the big, huge nerf to the Asashio with the latest patch. And what they're referring to is the new module you can slot for battleships that ensures the concealment of all torps in the game to 1.1 kilometers, no, 1.8 kilometers. So regardless of the concealment of your torps in any destroyer, they will get spotted at 1.8 kilometers if the enemy battleship driver have slotted this new module. And I've been playing the Asashio for a really long time, and I also played it quite a few times after the patch hit. This is a game, I think, 5 or 6 days after the patch. And I can't really say that I see any effects at all in the damage output in my Asashio. It's pretty much the reverse. I can only pretty much say that I have even greater damage nowadays in the Asashio than I had before the patch. And if you think about it, this new module that you can slot for battleships, it's in the same module slot with the concealment module, which pretty much has the effect that if you want to choose this torpedo spotting module, you have pretty much have to drop the concealment on your battleship. And if you think about it, if you're playing high tier battleships, what is your biggest problem in the current meta? Is it to eat a random torp now and then? Or is it the complete insane HE spam that you are the target of? I know the answer to that question. Because how does high tier matchmaking look like these days? I mean, this game we have 3 destroyers on each team, which I consider being pretty rare. Most often you will have 1 destroyer, or maybe 2. But more than 2 in this CV heavy meta, no, that's pretty rare. So if you have 2 destroyers on each team, and how many of those destroyers will be torpedo-based destroyers? I mean, maybe 1? 2 if you are extremely unlucky. And how many flanks will those destroyers be able to cover? Often, usually 1 to each flank. So worst case scenario pretty much is that you are facing 1 torpedo destroyer on your flank in a high tier BB. And usually high tier destroyers have like 2 minutes cooldown on their destroyer torpedoes. So how big problem is this really? I mean, just using some skill and some experience from this game, and also maybe use the priority target, which is pretty much a given for any ship to have as its first captain skill, then you can pretty much tell if an enemy destroyer is trying to torp you just by looking at the sheer numbers of ship that is focusing you. So all in all, I would say the problem is pretty small when it comes to torpedoes, if you're playing a high tier battleship. So what is a much huger problem? Well, the HE spam. So how does that problem look in high tier games? Well, you have Woosters, you have Des Moines, you have Kutuzovs, you have, of course, the king of them all, Smolensk, you have Conquerors, you have Thunderers, you have Haragumos, Kitakases, Akizukis. I mean, the list can go on and on and on and on. And how big of a chance is it that you will face a couple of these in every game? Well, that's a big risk. I mean, if you're lucky, you only have like 4 or 5 HE spammers on the enemy team. And what is the biggest weapon against HE spammers? Well, it's concealment. Concealment gives you the possibility to break contact with the enemy team, disengage, fall back, and heal up. So, which is the biggest threat for you as a high tier battleship captain? Is it to eat 1 or 2 random torps 1 or 2 times in a game? Or is it to be focused down by 4 or 5 HE spammers for the entirety of the game? I mean, how many times haven't you gone into a game and faced like 2 or 3 Smolensk on the enemy team? Even maybe a Haragumo? And maybe a Conqueror? And right now there's a mission in the directives where you have to try and get 20 fires in one game. Guess what ships are very good at using to finish that mission? Well, Smolensk, or maybe Conquerors or Thunderers. So right now you will have extremely many players playing those ships, just spamming fires on everything, trying to get 20 fires in the game. So yeah, I'd say the problem with the battleship captain slotting this new torpedo spotting module, I'm sorry, I don't really remember what it's called. It's pretty slim. It's a non-problem, pretty much. And instead, you have been able to, as a destroyer captain, to slot the new torpedo armament module in slot 3, which gives you 5% faster torpedoes with none drawbacks. So it's just a pure buff to your torpedoes. And it wasn't like any of the other modules in that slot was any use to you. I mean, it's the worthless AA module that no one takes anymore because they pretty much just broke it, made it totally useless. So I of course get some extra knots on my torps now as well. So yeah, it's not really a problem. So this game has been pretty good so far. I pushed the A cap with some of my teammates. Got some nice support from the friendly Alaska, who I also smoked up close to the cap because I wanted to try and preserve his health as much as possible. I managed to bag the Roma, who pretty much just sat behind the island in the cap. I'm not really sure why he just parked there, since there was a enemy Asashio contesting the cap, but I mean, I take the damage, no problem. So now we're pushing the B cap, and the enemy team has been stuck on the C cap for a pretty long time. So my objective is to push up, try to screen and spot for my team, and hopefully provide them with good intel and some support with my torpedo damage as well. So we have one enemy battleship pushing the B cap, so he will be our main focus. No, sorry, it's an enemy cruiser. I'm starting to sound like the Mighty Jingles now. The problem is I have been having some serious issues with my video editing software, my Premiere Pro. So right now I can't really look at the big screen that I usually used to have. So I have a very small window, which makes me mispronounce the ship types and the names. Yeah, I'm just like Jingles, I'm old and crap. So we managed to take the B cap, and now I spot this enemy battleship pushing in the small channel. So this is of course a pretty good opportunity for me to send my torps. I'm just waiting to clear this little outtake in the island. I notice that he is reversing, which means he should be pretty much reversing into my torps. So I launch the first salvo at the marker, and then the second salvo just a little bit behind, or in front actually, sorry, he was reversing. Just in case he start to try and go forward again to ground on the island. And it looks like my prediction is pretty spot on. Now this isn't really an ideal way to torp a battleship straight from the front, but I don't really have another choice right now. It almost looks like he will go straight in between the torpedoes, but two make contact, so I force a damage con because it started to flood. So now I'm opening up with my guns a little bit, because the guns are actually quite potent fire starters on the Japanese destroyers. So I land a perma fire on the Vladivostok, and it looks like he will also eat some of my torps. So that will be a perma flood and a perma fire. So I know this guy is a secured kill pretty much. But I will of course shoot him a bit more just to secure some extra damage until he dies. I think the torpedoes got spotted by the Vladivostok, so the enemy Alsace in the background was able to turn away. So I managed to bag myself my third kill, and I'm up to 177k damage, which is of course pretty nice in a tier 8 destroyer. Now saying that, of course the Asashio isn't really like a tier 8 destroyer. I mean, the Asashio has always been a very powerful torpedo boat, even though it has some drawbacks of course, since it can't really deal with destroyers or cruisers in the same sense. Your torps are only effective against battleships and carriers. So now I'm just trying to stay away from the enemy cruiser behind this island. I don't want him to spot me, since it's a German cruiser. He has very long range German hydro. But instead I'm trying to focus spotting and screening this enemy Alsace. But he's heading away, which isn't really that great either if you're trying to torp a battleship. They present a very slim profile. The range isn't really a problem because I also run with the torpedo acceleration skill on my captain, which means I have 16 kilometer torps instead of 20 kilometers, but it also makes them a bit faster. So that with also the new torpedo module in slot 3 makes this torps go, I think, 75 kilometers. 75 knots, of course. So I can't really say that I have noticed any kind of nerf to the Asashio after the latest patch. But instead I think it's pretty much a small buff to the Asashio. So I really love playing this ship. Now the game is almost over. I'm not really sure if my torps will hit, so I just use my last smoke screen trying to get some last HE shells on this enemy Alsace. But it looks like maybe perhaps he will... No, of course not. It goes right under him. Typical. But I secure my third cap in the game as well. Now I'm launching some preemptive torps in any kind of direction he can take from his position pretty much. And as you can see, I also have one torpedo reload booster still. But unfortunately, the tickets go up to 1000 and it's a sure win. So all in all, a pretty good game. 180k damage, 3 kills, and a lot of torp hits. Made number 1 in the team, which is always nice. I have to compliment these guys because they played really well. So I can't really say that I see any problems with the Asashio since the patch. It's just as strong as it's ever been. So that said, I want to thank you guys so much for checking out this video. Please leave a like and a comment below and make sure to subscribe to the channel for more amazing gameplays. Until next time guys, have a good one. Bye bye.